Hey, how's it going? Bringing another introduction video to you tonight to talk about another person that you might be interested in. And so tonight we're going to talk about Patrick Bet David. So he was an immigrant to America when he was 10 years old, came over here with his family, fled Iran during a revolution and was granted citizenship in the United States. Went to, I think, the LA area, grew up there, went into the military, and then he started a couple of different companies. And the big one was the PHP insurance agency company. And that one took off and is one of the largest growing companies. Now he did all of that before he was 30 years old. He's passionate now about shaping leaders and giving motivational talks. He's written several books. He had a video that was called The Life of the Entrepreneur in 90 seconds, and it got 30 million views online. Later wrote a book talking about the life of an entrepreneur in 90 pages. That was in 2016, several books since then. He created Valuetainment, which is a company to create content for edifying, educational, inspirational content for individuals. And now he speaks on a range of topics, primarily through his podcast, which is the PBD podcast. So, one of the nice things about turning to online content and podcast content and the creators that have been successful at that is the range of guests that they have on there. And so by introducing you to somebody that you would be interested in a podcast realm, you're going to then be exposed to all the guests that they have on, and you're going to find somebody that you're interested in. They probably have content and a channel of information or education or thoughts that they express their views, and then so on and so forth. So you kind of spider web out from there. And really the point is for all of us just to get to the place where we are willing to dig in, where we're willing to look up these folks, to spend a little bit of time, and not just the lazy scrolling type of time, because you can definitely get caught up in that. And that's where you're on social media and videos just kind of pop up and you watch, a minute and a half of something, and then you scroll on and go to the next one, and you're just kind of this mind-numbing exposure to all this stuff and nothing really sticks. But if you can get to the point where you find a topic or an idea or an individual that you're really interested in, and the way that they explain and bring up topics and situations, and then you can kind of just do a little bit of work, put off the Netflix for a little while, be intentional about your study of people and what they believe and how they got there and really what they're saying and why they're saying it. Man, you can really get yourself exposed to a lot of interesting folks and people. Joe Rogan is obviously the number one guy in that space. And you're well aware of him, so that's kind of why I'm not talking about him. But really, you could watch him alone and then branch out on all the different people that he's had on his show. And I mean, endless, time searching out new folks and new ideas. And what's really interesting too, that's worth mentioning is what you'll find with people is the idea that somebody just fits underneath a tidy little label doesn't work. So they're a Democrat, or they're a liberal, or they're a conservative, or a Republican, or they're this, or they're that. That's kind of disintegrating, and it should, because it's not that simple. People are complex. Problems are complex. Issues take, a lot of evaluation and a lot of like defining the terms. And well, what do you mean by freedom? Like, what do you mean by what you're describing? Like, all of that digging and peeling back the layers can be a really interesting endeavor if we will take the time to be intentional to do it. And so, Patrick Bet David is a guy that I really honestly haven't watched a ton of stuff from him, but what I have seen, I really like. I love how he is confident in the way that he presents his ideas. He's respectful in his interviews, and he has had some very interesting guests on his show. Andrew Tate is one. He just did an interview with Andrew Tate. And if you don't know who he is, he's probably somebody that I'll dive into a little bit more. But again, you talk about somebody, the media or something where it's just easy to slap a label on somebody and then just kind of dismiss them as that thing. Andrew Tate's a pretty good example of that. Not so fast, like not so easy to do that. He has a lot of ideas that are probably closer to being on than they are off. He's got a lot of different activities that, a lot of us wouldn't agree with, that I wouldn't agree with. So people are multivariable. They're just like all of us, like we're complex. And, I've created a YouTube channel to put some of these videos out. And, the description of that is the phrase from the Gulag Archipelago where it's, evil, is not divided by state lines. It's not divided, by political parties. The line between good and evil runs right through the middle of every human heart. And I do believe that. I think Scripture and the Bible talks about that. And all of us who breathe air and are alive know that the thing that lives inside of us has a tendency to go towards selfishness, can go toward and be given into things that are more wrong than they are right. And we have to fight and make a decision within our own heart to fight for what's true, to fight for what's right, to fight for other people and the loving decision. And it's so interesting. And this is, what Yeshua, what Jesus taught was the giving up of self for the sacrifice or the submission of either, God's plan or for other people is a counterintuitive idea. And it's this idea that, you think you want to go around accumulating stuff for yourself so you can find fulfillment. And that actually ends up kind of suffocating you and you drown in it, really. But the more that we can learn to, submit our own will and yield for the good of others, then something happens where we find fulfillment and relationship and responsibility. And that responsibility, the weight of the responsibility, feels good on our shoulders as we carry that load. And those are thoughts and ideas that Jordan Peterson talks a lot about. And, so anyway, all of these kinds of things are what we're striving for, and that's what we're going for. And so he's another great person to check out. So the PBD podcast, watch his stuff. He's got, financial, entrepreneurial, economics, social, like he covers the gamut. And there was one where he had Michael Saylor, and they had a conversation about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Very interesting. He's had Neil deGrasse Tyson on there, which I'll just be honest, I can't stand that guy. I don't care for him at all, but he debates him a little bit regarding the pandemic and the policies that we, forced during that time. And that conversation is super interesting. I mentioned the Andrew Tate conversation, which I think it was a 5-hour interview and podcast, and just super interesting. So those are things that you can expose yourself to and just begin to branch out. There's a ton there. So just be intentional about it, begin to branch out and find out more. So check him out. You're not going to be disappointed in him. So the bonus that I have for you is a music band. So I came across this group maybe only a year ago. My wife had a Pandora station that she was listening to, and it was Matsiatu or something like that. It was a reggae, like a Jewish reggae singer, and love that music, love his music, but it rolled into other reggae music, and I kept hearing a group pop up, and every song that I heard, I just loved it. I thought it was just fantastic. And the more I kept listening to them, the more I enjoy it. And especially now that it's summertime, you know, you want to sit outside, have a drink by the pool or something like that. Or if you go on vacation, you're at the lake or go to the beach. There's nothing better than listening to some of this reggae music. But the group is called Stick Figure. They are based out of Southern California. I think they started in 2006. Scott Woodruff is the lead singer. He started the group, and a couple of the songs that are my absolute favorite is a song called "Angels Above Me." It came off of their World on Fire album from 2019. And then they have a collaboration with another reggae group called The Movement. And there's a song called Siren that is kind of a anti-establishment, groove song for, a anthem, is what it is. And it's fantastic. So The Movement sings that song, but Stick Figure has, a collab part in it. And so anyway, check them out. You're gonna, if you haven't heard of them already, look them up on YouTube or whatever and enjoy some of the reggae. So that is my episode for tonight. I really enjoy doing this. I'm learning a lot, and the toughest thing for me is to decide who and what I'm going to do next. So I've got so many. I'll probably keep releasing these as I get time, but let me know what you think. Like I said, J.A. Douglas is the YouTube channel that I have. I'm going to put these videos out there on YouTube, so they can probably cancel me along with everybody else before too long, but we'll see how it goes. So if you want to follow me there, please subscribe, like those videos, and share it so we can spread this out. But appreciate you listening, and appreciate the feedback. You guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the next one.